Welcome back, everybody. Tomorrow we'll see the beginning of the ANC's National General Council, or NGC. An expected 4,000 members will converge at the Gallagher Estate in Midrand to discuss issues ranging from corruption to social transformation. To discuss the NGC and the possible outcomes from the three-day summit is SABC contributing editor Vuyo Mvoko. Welcome, Vuyo. Nice to see you.
Morning, Liam. Good to be here.
Big day tomorrow. It certainly is a big day. What are the expectations for tomorrow?
Look, the ANC makes a big deal of the National General Council, and just to give a bit of context, you know that every 5 years the party has its elective conference, and that's where it elects its leaders, but that's also where it adopts policies. Then since about 2000, the ANC then decided that midway through the term of office of that leadership, it should review policies that it will have adopted 2.5 years earlier. So that's really the purpose of the conference. Where do you are you progressing, or have there been other dynamics that have influenced the way you deliver, whether it's services or whether it's the way you conduct yourself as a ruling party? Have there been intervening big moments that require you to perhaps take a different direction? But important perhaps to note is that that meeting doesn't really have the power to actually change policy as such, but to begin to work towards that in preparation for the next, except when there are big interventions to be made. But that's one part, or that's at least the formal part of the NGC. Over the years, it has also served as a measure of the pulse or the temperature, if you like, within the ANC. That is why you're hearing people now talking about, leadership,
and
succession battles and those kinds of things. But also, at different times, it has served as quote unquote as the sort of time when the ANC gets to fix things that it thinks are horribly wrong, as was the case in about 2005, after former President Thabo Mbeki had clipped the wings of the current president, who was deputy president of the party at the time, Jacob Zuma, because it was that NGC attacks that actually restored the powers of the ANC's deputy president, which had been taken away at the time by his boss.
Yeah, all right. So there is so much that's going to be taking place, as you say, starting tomorrow. But there are a list of priority areas that the ANC are focusing on, and we've put them up on screen, and this is what they really want to talk about. These are some of them are the 2012 priority areas. Obviously, creation of more jobs, decent work, sustainable livelihoods, rural development, land reform, food security, education, health, fighting crime and corruption. The agenda must look the same as we sit in 2015.
Well, it looks pretty much the same. There's been a whole raft of sort of discussion documents that the ANC has released, given to its branches, so that they begin to discuss them, so that by the time they get to the NGC tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, they are really informed and have already taken positions, having discussed at their respective branches and other structures of the party. Economic transformation. In fact, everything that the ANC is going to discuss at the weekend is going to be sort of grounded or anchored within the area of economic transformation, because that's the sort of overarching sort of theme. Everything, or every sphere of life that is being discussed, whatever is being discussed around that, has to speak to economic transformation in one way or the other. And there's all those range of issues. For example, if we were to talk about education, as an example, everyone knows we spend as a country more money on education than we spend on virtually every other sort of sphere of life. But it's an open secret that no one believes that we're getting value for money. That is why you are seeing all the arguments and conversations over the past few weeks over ANA, for example, where the teachers on the one hand and the Department of Basic Education are really trying to deal with. This was a conference resolution that it's a matter to be dealt with. But 2.5 years down the line, there doesn't seem to have been any progress. That is why a week ago, we heard that, Satu, for example, was summoned to Tuli House.
Yeah.
And so was the Minister of Basic Education to say, stop the fighting, that we don't know what exactly it's about, and start dealing with the real issues. Because as the governing party, we have taken a decision or decisions on these matters, and we're not seeing the kind of progress that we would have wanted to see. The same can be said of social development.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of money is being thrown into the area of social welfare, but it too, just like housing, has been vulnerable to all manner of exploitation, where people are abusing the system. There has been corruption, but also the effect of what the government is putting in is actually not being felt by the ANC's own admission. So those areas are also the areas that are going to get quite a considerable amount of attention.
Well, I imagine one of the biggest areas that's going to get attention is that of economic transformation. It always appears to be that number one talking point, and it appears to be the one that needs to be addressed more importantly than anything else. I mean, we keep seeing the issues happening in the mines here in South Africa. We keep on seeing strike action taking place, mines closing down, jobs being lost, and I only bring mining into it because that's one of the biggest fuelers of our economy. But we talk of, number one, economic transformation. Will we see policy changes around this, or discussions at least?
Well, there will certainly be discussions. I think there's no doubt about that, as has been the case over the past 21 years or so. I think the issue is whether there's enough willingness to be as radical as the ANC has said it wants to be this time around. And what does radical really mean? Because of course, there will be many versions of what is wrong and what can be done, as there will be people prepared to tackle this issue. But the question really is whether there is, at the end of the day, enough goodwill, enough trust among the people who will have to take a decision on this matter to actually take it forward. Because we've had these arguments before, but as the ANC's foremost critics have said, it just hasn't had the will
to
actually act on very important decisions that it will have taken that can actually advance economic transformation. As much as there will be outstanding, or one can find flaws in policies or arguments that have been brought forward, but overall the most significant criticism has been that the ANC has never been short of policy. The ANC government has never been short of policies, but it's been the implementation that is the problem. And linked to that has been all manner of vested interest, because it is this big church that tries to be everything to everyone, from big business to the poorest of the poor. And where do these people meet? And how do you ensure that on a daily basis you are actually ensuring that the overall or overarching interests of the country are actually the ones that are being advanced? You pander to the whims of big business at the expense of the poor, and those are really the questions.
There's one issue we need to bring up, and I know we're running into weather time, so Phil, we'll be with you in 1 second, but let's talk about the succession battle, because this is now obviously going to come up. I mean, rumor has it that Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma is going to be right up there and being discussed as the possible next president of the ANC. These discussions?
Well, it's not going to be formally on the table, but rest assured, people are going to find ways of sneaking it in. The ANC Women's League feels very strongly that it's about time you have a woman president. But there's another group, which includes women, by the way, it must be said, that believes that actually Cyril Ramaphosa should be the next ANC president. So those discussions are going to, because the ANC Women's League has already said that it is going to put the matter on the table, because it believes it is very important. But there will not be a resolution, but everyone will seek to influence one another as the party goes to 2017, that elective conference where it hopes to elect a new leadership. Will it be Dlamini-Zuma? Will it be Cyril Ramaphosa?
Yeah.
Or some other new dark horse? Nobody knows
that
at this
nobody
stage.
knows of. Well, I know you'll be there, and I know we'll be crossing to it. It starts tomorrow, and SABC will be covering it throughout the entire conference. So please make sure that you tune in, and I know tomorrow morning we'll be crossing as well. So thank you, Vuyo. Enjoy it, and we look forward to chatting to you from there. So, Vuyo Mvoko, our contributing political editor here at the SABC. All right, Phil.